Hello my fellow humans. I'd like to introduce you to my Patreon page. It has extra videos that you will never see on YouTube and series that will also be exclusive to Patreon. If you would like to burn your eyes out watching even more videos, go to the link in my description. Thank you for your time.
We gotta get you inside. No! Bill! No! Inside, now! Hold on to me! I gotcha.
Trying to play Jenga with rocks.
Skip.
It's in miles west of Boston.
That fake-ass laugh.
Much longer?
5-hour hike.
We can manage that.
Saying this with knees under the age of 30 to someone with knees over the age of 30.
Pointing things out on the screen to someone who has eyes and ears.
We're only 3 episodes in, and I feel like we've already used our walking excitements in as far as it can go. In fact, I'm less irritated about them walking all the time in this series, and more irritated that you've now made me sick of looking at, reading, and writing a long-standing sin. You're causing me to sin my own f***ing sins, The Last of Us, and I do not like it.
Yeah, that's my job. Also, the walking sins are already stupid enough as it is, seeing as there's absolutely nothing wrong with watching them travel for a little bit, so this sin is still just as pointless as the first time you used it.
But also...
Skip.
What are you looking out for?
Living in a world that's 20 years deep into the apocalypse and asking dumbass questions like this. When mushrooms have taken over people's brains and are using humans to eat other humans, you are always on the lookout.
Yes, but as the series shows us multiple times, the infected are not the only threat, which is why Ellie is asking. She's curious about what Joel is worried by specifically in this moment.
How'd you get that scar on your head?
Someone shot at me and missed.
See, that's cool.
Tell me you've never been shot at without telling me you've never been shot at.
Tell me you've never made a funny joke without telling me you've never made a funny joke.
No way. I had a friend who knew everything about this game.
I'm really glad Ellie has these fun memories to hold on to and didn't end up losing that friend extremely tragically. I'm sure if that had happened, this arcade machine would be far more triggering for her.
So the sin here is that the arcade machine should be causing traumatic symptoms like maybe a panic attack or something. But this is a great example of Discount Jeremy not understanding that different people have different ways of dealing with trauma. It's hilarious that the TVSins writers constantly write sins where they try to act all sensitive and accepting, but still completely fail to understand things like people having different coping mechanisms. And they act like everyone should behave the exact same way. In trying to be accepting, they're accidentally exposing how narrow-minded they really are.
Sure, let's open the nope door and have a peek inside at all the nopeness. How has Ellie survived to 14? Does she actually have the ability to respawn?
No, she simply hasn't run into danger all that much, which is shown pretty clearly through her doing things like this. Besides, didn't you just play a clip of Joel telling her that there's nothing bad in here? How can you play a clip that debunks your argument right before making that argument? Stupidity is a hell of a drug.
Convenient feminine product is convenient.
Wait a second, just a minute ago you said that the door leading to this storage room looked really sketchy and Ellie shouldn't even consider opening it, but now you're complaining that this box of tampons didn't get taken from that same room? Pick a lane, my guy.
I'm not sure if this is a sin for curious kids being stupidly curious, or if we should sin Ellie's obvious beginnings to her future as a serial killer. Let's just ding it twice to be safe.
Neither of those things are sins. Like you said, kids are stupid, so that route checks out. And as for the serial killer part, you probably weren't taught this at whatever southern sister school you went to, but it's completely normal for kids to develop a sort of fascination or curiosity with death. Add the apocalypse and the resulting abundance of death to that equation, and you get Ellie.
How did it even start? If you have to get bit to be infected, then who bit the first person?
I thought you went to school.
Yeah, but they only taught her the stuff that doesn't need to be exposited to the audience at some point.
I love this sin. He purposefully cut out the follow-up to this line because Joel clearly states that nobody knows for sure how it started. They only have theories. Now, if you want to argue that they should have taught her about the theories in school, I would argue that a fascist regime like Fedra would almost certainly never do that.
Is it a monkey? I bet it was a monkey.
Why do you have to immediately jump to monkeys, Ellie? Not every disease has been caused by a monkey, but also, monkeys. They're mean and they throw their shit at you.
Hey, monkey. Oh, give me the finger.
Cordyceps mutated.
Some of it got into the food supply. You eat enough of it, it'll get you infected. So the tainted food all hits the store shelves around the same time Thursday.
But like everywhere? The whole planet? All at once? Last episode, we discovered that the woman from the factory in Jakarta went fungicidal maniac on Tuesday, 23rd September, and that was the first recorded infected. So what we're saying is that by 2 days later, the flour from that factory was somehow distributed to all the different brands, was turned into bread and pancake mix and whatever, was sent overseas to America and beyond, and arrived at hundreds, if not thousands of stores simultaneously? Oh, and regardless of delivery days, all the products across the country made it onto the shelves so that by Friday, enough people were infected to hit a point of no return. This is unbelievably quick. Unbelievable!
I let that entire sin play out to demonstrate the utter absurdity of Discount Jeremy's very childish line of thinking. This is yet another sin where he takes something that a character said at face value. If you had paid attention, you would have heard Joel say that nobody truly knows for sure how it started, so his explanation here is only an unproven theory. How stupid are these people? Jesus.
Can it hurt me?
No.
I know we're assuming physical harm here, but the mental trauma of witnessing a mass grave really should be implied here too.
And that's exactly what Joel implied when he said Ellie shouldn't see it. So what's your point? If you want to argue that he should tell Ellie it would traumatize her directly, I'd argue that saying that to a kid probably wouldn't work anyway because kids don't tend to fully grasp how trauma works, even kids who have trauma themselves.
Too honest, man.
But brutal honesty is one of Joel's greatest qualities and why we all love him. Ellie should be grateful that he would never hide a life-changing secret from her, even if the whole world's survival depended on it.
Jesus, these types of sins were boring and annoying enough in their Game of Thrones videos, now they've well crossed the line of overkill.
Positioning a camera in a way that results in your God-given right to defend your property being obstructed by your God-given right to display your patriotism.
Pointing things out on the screen.
You know what? Looking around at all the guns and ammo in this room really didn't give me enough context for the number of guns and ammo this character has, so thank goodness for this Guns and Ammo magazine so I can really understand how much he likes guns and ammo.
This is the kind of sin where Discount Jeremy thinks he's being clever by pointing out overkill, but the fact that he had to zoom way the in here just to get the audience to focus on the magazine completely undermines the sin hard.
10 Last of Us Lane. The most unbelievable aspect of this entire episode is that all the wine is still there and hasn't been stolen by the military.
Is Discount Jeremy calling the military a bunch of alcoholics? That's racist.
If he had a way to cut the lock, then why did he risk damage to his vehicle with the other fence?
Of course, this sin makes a lot more sense when you remove all context from the scene. Bill smashed through the outer gate in his car, presumably because he was already in it and didn't want to get out, but he couldn't smash through the second gate because the power generator thingy was right behind it and he didn't want to damage it. I know that honesty won't make your videos quite as long, but it would make them better.
Scene does not contain my mouth eating this steak.
Scene does not contain Discount Jeremy saying anything of value.
I'd assume the sin here would be for over 4 minutes of showing us Bill survivalisting his way through the apocalypse, but you'd be wrong. The actual sin is assuming that we didn't want to see the full 4 years.
So it's a bad thing that a show is telling its story rather than getting distracted by an ultimately pointless side story? What?
Really confused as to how Frank managed to fall into this hole. It's not even covered and seems to be the only one in sight. To be honest, I can barely see how it would trap an infected.
So this is the second time in this video where Discount Jeremy has blatantly lied to you. There's a scene in this episode where Bill covers up the hole with a layer of mesh and then covers the mesh with a layer of dirt. To any CinemaSins or TVSins fans who are watching this, why are you okay with them lying to you? They are treating you like idiots.
How'd you get that?
Believing that asking this question will prevent me from sinning the absence of an explanation.
But it's not important to know how he got it, just that he did. Why do you want the show to explain things that don't require an explanation? Jesus Christ.
Bill goes from get the f off my lawn to here, take a shower while I prepare this Michelin star gourmet meal with red wine pairing. I know the power of boners is strong, but why didn't Bill just send him off with a sandwich in a canteen?
Because Bill was clearly jonesing for human contact and was merely being cautious at first? Can you try to watch the show for once, please? Also, Discount Jeremy says boner.
There is more. No, if I can't, I want to. Believe me, but... Whew.
I don't know. I'm calling BS on the man that hasn't eaten for 2 days being full up on this kind of a serving.
I don't know about that. Frank is a fairly skinny dude and is very likely also overplaying how full he is because he just met Bill a short while ago.
Position of the food on Frank's plate moves between shots.
And this is exactly the type of sin you should have been pointing out from the beginning. Not your shallow, dumb observations, cringeworthy jokes, or straight-up lies, but genuine mistakes. I'm tempted to sin you for having taken 6 minutes to finally get one good sin, but I'll remove one because I'm a nice guy.
So I guess I'll be going then.
I know he ends up not kicking Frank out, but if Bill at any point thought Frank would have to leave and walk all the way to Boston, why would he serve him all this wine? Friends don't let friends hike in infected walking areas while drunk, kids. It's an important lesson to learn before the next apocalypse.
Well, Frank and Bill aren't friends yet. They literally just met. Besides, we have no indication that either one of them is drunk. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Rummaging through another man's piano bench without his explicit consent.
Pointing things out on the screen without saying anything worthwhile.
Love will abide.
I'm very glad we get to see the Bill-Frank relationship play out. It's truly beautiful, but Frank picking the one song out of all those music books that would hit Bill's heart the most is still some convenient bullshit.
But it's really not. I mean, how do you know that this song is the one that would hit Frank the most? The show never said that, so where are you getting it from? Oh wait, you just pulled a random assumption out of your ass so that you could force us in out of the episode, didn't you?
Oh, you!
Skipping 3 years and assuming once again that I don't want an entire multi-season TV show following Bill and Frank playing house in the apocalypse.
Yet again, I'm left wondering how anybody could possibly be so dumb that they would want a show to stray away from its story for something that would ultimately have no impact on said story for any sufficient amount of time.
Boutique. Are we hosting formal garden parties now?
I don't know why Frank has to be so dismissed.
Skip.
And I had this idea that we should use codes for the radio in case anyone's listening.
Out of all the mysteries that have been presented to us over the last couple of episodes, the how did they come up with the secret music codes wouldn't have even made my secondary list of things I needed to know. But here we are.
And yet you also wanted to see the completely irrelevant 3 years after Bill and Frank first met? Something's telling me that your opinion is completely invalid and stupid.
On the strawberries.
Don't knock having sex on top of strawberry.
Skip.
For me? Hold your hand there.
Yes, put your unsanitized hand over an open wound. Does anyone in these situations ever think about the dangers of infections?
Bro, he just got shot. They're more worried about stopping the bleeding than they are about an infection. Besides, Bill ends up surviving this, so what's your point?
Leave the gas on. The fence will kill the rest of them.
If that's true, why the f*** were you insisting on staying outside with a belly full of lead poisoning? Or better still, why did you go out there in the first place?
Maybe because there were too many at first for his traps to deal with all of them? It's entirely possible that Bill shooting some of them thinned out their ranks enough for the traps to be sufficient for the rest. How did you not think of this? It's so obvious.
Do you love me?
Yes.
Then love me the way I want you to.
Skip.
Aw, look, it's the meet cute death trap. Also, it's been like 16 years since they met in this hole, and that's what the grass looks like? Has Bill or Frank been mowing it? Why? Don't the traps work better if the grass is overgrown?
I let both of those sins play out to demonstrate one of CinemaSins and TVSins' recurring mistakes. They'll say some random bullshit just to transition to the next scene and count it as a sin even though it's not a sin at all. It's awkward and forced because of how out of place it is.
Here's a sin for all of television. The fact that we are yet to have a post-apocalyptic anthology series that actually focuses on human stories and the beautiful moments that can be found in the horror. Not fair on the episode, perhaps, but that's what you get for having the nerve to show us what's possible.
Everything wrong with The Last of Us, ladies and gentlemen. The show is really good.
Oh, I should be furious. But from an objective point of view, it's incredibly romantic.
Sorry to curse the moment, but that's still pretty subjective.
Complains the guy who uses subjective sins to pad the sin count and runtime of his videos.
To whomever, but probably Joel.
Why would they leave Tess's name off the envelope? It's as if they already know she's dead, which they should not.
Finally, another good sin. Sad that there are really only 2 good sins in this video, but I'll give you another sin removal.
Joel checks the fridge and finds the battery parts, but why wouldn't Bill have mentioned this needed instruction in his letter? That seems like a very important item that was left out.
Aaron, have you ever actually formulated a coherent thought in your entire life? I'm not insulting you or joking around, I'm genuinely curious. Why do you think that Bill, a very paranoid guy with an underground bunker, would leave specific instructions on how to acquire his belongings in a letter during an apocalypse when he only wants those things to be found by one person? Jesus Christ, he's obviously omitting the instructions just in case anyone else finds the letter.
Why was the music on?
If you didn't reset the countdown every few weeks, this playlist would run over the radio.
Stealing from Lost in a universe where Lost never had a chance to exist.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture ref.
Taking a shower. And then you're showering.
Getting this cozy in a house that has 2 rotting corpses in the master bedroom.
Pointing things out on a YouTube channel that has the rotting corpse of its good old days in the studio.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Birdman?
I just need a...
This is the lamb.
Where's the lamb
That's the lamb
sauce?
Right here, Chef. I
Lamb
have it.
sauce is coming up. There's just nothing coming together.
Right here, Chef.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem, Chef.
F*** off you, you fat, useless sack of f***ing Yankee, danky, doodle shite.